this is going live in all the right places. Make sure everyone can hear me. So, all right. How's everyone doing tonight? It looks like I'm live. So this is going to be a redo from a post that I tried to do a little bit ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, that technology was not my friend that day. So I'm hoping that this works out a little bit better. We shall see. All right, so the title of this is called Death, My Lie, and Taxes. But I promise you that I am not going to talk to you guys about taxes. Like that's not my lane. That is not my lane of genius. There's other people to talk to you about taxes if that's what you want to talk about. What I'm going to talk to you about is why I'm here and why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I'm building my business to try to help moms who are just in a not super happy place right now, or in a place that they're just feeling lost in motherhood and need to find themselves outside of just being a mom, right? Some days are super hard to just keep the tiny people alive in our households. But we have to keep in mind that we're raising them to be well-adjusted, productive members of society. We're not just raising them to survive. Think about 10 to 20 years from now. Will you even be alive to see how all of this turns out? Most of you are probably like, okay, Bryn, like that sounds extreme. Like, of course I'm going to be here. My mom would have said the same thing, but she's not here. She didn't take care of herself. She didn't take care of herself to an extreme, but I don't think it's really that extreme. I think that a lot of my moms find themselves in this position. You constantly put everyone else's needs and wants before any of your own, and then you find yourself pouring from an empty cup. Of course, tomorrow's never guaranteed. Something could happen tomorrow, but why roll the dice if you can help it? I was a junior in high school when she first got her diagnosis. The skin cancer, is a very treatable form of skin cancer. So it's going to be surgery and radiation, long drives for radiation treatments. But that same year, our basketball team in high school was really good. My mom was at most of our games. She definitely was the loudest one cheering. And we were playing in a huge arena. We had made it to sectional finals. So all of this excitement was going on, but that whole time, something was going on with my mom. She knew that something health-wise was going on with her, but she kept putting off just going to the doctor. And I had no idea at the time. So there was some kind of spot on her skin. She hadn't been to her doctor in years. Even though my dad kept urging her to go, like he understood that something was wrong. He finally made her go. He like literally had to threaten to like dial the number for her, or he may have even dialed the number for her and then like handed her the phone. She knew something wasn't right, but she was afraid. She was afraid that she wouldn't be around to see us grow up. She was afraid of missing basketball games. And she was one of these that thought she was invincible. And she should have been more afraid of missing us grow up than missing a few basketball games. But it was supposed to be very treatable, so we were very thankful for that. Fast forward through surgery, radiation, and an outpouring of supportive friends and family. Like, if you know anything about the small town that I grew up in, you will know that it is such a family-oriented town, and it is so, people are there to help. I had graduated high school. Things were finally seeming to get back to normal. I had graduated high school. I had graduated with a 2-year college degree, and I was moving on to finish my bachelor's degree at a 4-year college. My sister was entering her junior year of high school, and my youngest brother was starting the 8th grade. And I'm not exactly sure how long it was before my mom knew something wasn't right again. But, and this is kind of a gray area of memories for me because I had moved out of the house and I was living on my own for my first time. I was living with one of my very best friends. She's still Ellie. She's still one of my very best friends. And so some of this is kind of a gray area for me, but I got a phone call from my mom while I was on a family trip to Florida with my boyfriend at the time. And my mom had gone back to the doctor and she told me that the cancer was back while I was on this trip. Like, she literally called me. We were on our way to dinner and she called me to tell me that her cancer was back. She didn't want me to worry. She said she was going to fight and that it was going to be fine. But she didn't tell a lot of people for a really long time, including her own mother. Eventually, they told her that her cancer had spread to her lungs and therefore it was terminal and there was nothing that they could do other than, you know, try to make her as comfortable as possible. So it was sometime after this that she had finally told us kids. So she knew all of this before she told us kids the news. And this part, even though a lot of things are kind of a gray area for me, this part I remember so clearly the day that she told us what was going on. All 5 of us, so my mom, me, my sister, my brother, and my dad were all standing in the kitchen. My mom was standing on the stairs that led up to the main part of the house from the front door. And she was slightly below us, like she was looking up to us. And for the first time, I think she was looking to us because she needed our strength rather than it being the other way around. The gravity of her words when she told us that her cancer was terminal hit immediately, and tears, I remember, welling up in my eyes. And she looked at us, and while most moms or many moms might, you know, take that as a moment to just grab a hold of their babies and hug them so tightly, not Brenda, not my mom. She was different. She was to the point. She was realistic. And so she stopped us in our tracks. She pointed her finger at us and she said, "No, we're not doing this. We're not going to be sad. We're not going to cry. And I'm going to fight for as long as I can." She said, "And we're going to be happy." That was not a request of hers. That was a demand. She was telling us that this is what we are doing. Quit the bullshit, essentially, is what she told us, as she often did. So she waited a really long time to tell other family and friends, but those closest to her knew that something wasn't right, and they began asking questions. And out of, obviously, loyalty to our mother, us kids didn't tell them either. because that was a request of hers, and we didn't tell people either. However, we started being pressed with questions from close friends and family. And when pressed, I would simply respond in head nods of, yes, you should be concerned, and no, it's not okay. So in December of 2007, the doctors gave her about 6 months to live, but she died in February of 2008. And that was about almost 1 week, I think, to the day after she attended my sister's high school senior basketball game. She left a husband of nearly 25 years and 3 kids, ages 20, 17, and 14. We were left to navigate this world without a mom, without a wife. And I'm not saying that to act like poor me, because I'm far from the only one that I know that is in this situation. And that is also why I feel so compelled to share my story with others, so that it doesn't have to be other people's situation. I tell this story so that maybe a mom somewhere will see it or read it and make a different decision. And so that maybe their kids won't have to be part of this shitty dead parent club. And I know that nothing is guaranteed. I know I could die tomorrow or in a car wreck or have some crazy genetic thing that I find out about and that changed my whole world. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about preventable disease. If I can prevent myself from contracting a disease or through early detection by going to the doctor regularly, why would I not do that? If I can be here for longer for my kids, like, why wouldn't I? That's just logical. That's common sense. But for me, this didn't really all sink in until I became a mom, until part of me was actually living and breathing outside of my own body and depended on me and trusted me with everything that she has. And I know, mamas, that it is so hard to find the time to take care of yourself. And I know that people preach self-care all the time. That doesn't mean bubble baths and candles and whatever. Like, that means taking care of your whole self, mind, body, and soul. Whatever is lacking, like your life depends on it. Because your kids do need you. And I know that it's hard to find the time because they need you and can be so demanding. But you're right, they do need you. But they need you for more than just right now. They need you for the rest of their lives, or for as long as they possibly can have you. And so if this can change that just for one family, then it will be worth it. Thank you guys for watching this. I don't see any questions or anything posted, but if you have them, I will be happy to answer them later. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a good night. Mamas, if you are needing help trying to find yourself or just find a community of support for moms that need to kind of find themselves, find their own thing again outside of being a mom, jump into my group on Facebook. It's totally free. It's called Rehired and Mindful Moms. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe so that you don't miss when I go live. YouTube tends to be a lot better about notifying people than Facebook. And yeah, so jump into that group, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them at any time. Have a good night.